Today, I was meant to do a thing at school where I go and speak to the people that are now in the year below me and tell them things that I wish I had known when I was in that year. And basically, I was doing something else at the time I was meant to be doing that, so I thought I would do it now because there are things I want to say and I didn't get a chance to say them because I'm unorganised. I'm not unorganised, I'm a very organised person. It was a misunderstanding. So yes, basically, today I want to talk about the things that I wish I had known at the beginning of year 12. So obviously I've just gone into year 13, but things I wish I could tell myself if I was back being that little scared person, scared about doing A-levels because I didn't want to leave school ever. So the first thing that I wish I could tell myself was, do not underestimate the pressure you will be put under. And I don't mean that in a horrible and scary way, but when I started my AS levels, because I did so much work for my GCSEs, I didn't immediately notice the jump in sort of workload because I always did more work than I needed to at my GCSEs. So I didn't notice it in the workload, but progressing through the year, I found myself coming under so much pressure to the point that I actually got quite ill last year because I just stressed myself out and I put more pressure on myself than was needed and just didn't take pressure very well from everybody else, and then just got very overwhelmed and it all got very emotional and I cried a lot, but it's okay now because I know that now and I know everything is okay. Selling sixth form like a boss. Another thing that I want to say is do not take on too many responsibilities that you might not be able to continue being responsible for the whole of the year. So right at the beginning of the year, when you haven't got that much work to do and you're just kind of getting into things, I got involved in millions of things, volunteering left, right and centre, and creating clubs and things that actually later on through the year, when I realised I did not have time to breathe, I severely regretted putting so much of my time in little pockets of responsibilities that now were just like weighing on me. And I don't know if anybody else feels like this, but if I start something, if I can't carry it on, I feel like I failed myself, like severely failed myself. So I felt like I had to keep up all those things I was doing. And then, yeah, did not end well. Another thing that I'm glad I did, that I want to tell everybody to do, is even though it might seem stupid, start revising straight away. The second you are given work that is related to your exam, write it down in note form, like on a poster, however you revise, and keep it logged. Because when you come to making revision posters at the end of the year, you will be flooded with information that you cannot even process. So do it in small chunks because it will help you massively. I did it for psychology. Each section of psychology I've made into a poster as we were going along. I have literally never loved my past self more than at the end of year 12 when I look back and all my posters were already made for me and all I had to do was just look at them and like remember stuff off them. Good things come of using your frees wisely, which brings me on to my next point. I am a sucker for sitting in my free doing nothing. Watching Netflix in my free, or listening to music, or talking about silly things, or playing silly games with stationery. But you have to be an adult. And I know that's difficult because I'm not even an adult yet, but you have to take responsibility for yourself. And if you know you've got a whole free evening ahead of you, think about how you want to spend it. Do you want to spend it doing the work you could have been doing at school? Or do you think, no, I'm enjoying playing this game right now, I will do it later. And you have to make that decision. But as long as you stick to your decision, then it's fine. But the point I'm trying to make is make use of your frees. Near the end of the year when my work started mounting up, I managed to get most of it done in my frees, so I'd still have my evenings to myself, which I benefited from so much when people around me were panicking, cramming their evenings full of work, and I was just there like, did it? already did it. And it's also really useful because if you do your work straight after the teacher tells you, I always think it's a lot easier because it's fresh in your mind and you haven't had time to think about a million and one other things before you do it. Another thing that I would say is make sure you give yourself breaks. And I know that just contradicts everything I just said before, but it kind of doesn't. I did not do any work on a Friday night or a Saturday at all, all the way through the year, because I wanted my weekend. I worked hard in the week and I wanted my weekend. And I gave it to myself every week for working hard. And it did me so much good. I didn't have any work like hanging over me because I work on Sundays. So I'd have Friday and Saturday and go to work on Sunday and come home and get an early night. And then, yeah, time management. Time management is key. Another thing that I wish I had known, and people had told me, but something that I wish I had actually trusted the people that had told me about, was do not panic if your grades go from your GCSE, which is like here, to your AS level, which is like here in the first couple of weeks. My grades went like here and then they went back up to here again. It's just the jump and like the change in like the way they mark things and the change in the way you have to do the work that you learn, and it is fine in the end. You will be on track for what you are predicted. It's just this crazy panic at the beginning of the year when you're getting like 3 grades below what you usually get and you're like, I'm a failure, I can't do this. Another thing, and I know there was a huge emphasis at the beginning of the year at my school on it, I don't know about other schools, but academic reading for your personal statement. Freak out is what I did when I first heard that. At the beginning of year 12, I wasn't 100% sure on the exact course I wanted to do. So I knew what I wanted to go into, but I wasn't sure on the exact course. So doing academic reading was so difficult, and to try and push myself to read an article about something like really wordy and academic, I guess you could call it, was so difficult to motivate myself to do that. And then after the panic sort of went and I concentrated on my work and I wasn't doing academic reading, I realised that actually I was doing academic reading every day, but it just didn't feel like it. Reading about something you're interested in, maybe scrolling through your phone and finding an article, or reading a blog post, or watching something that's related to something you're interested in, that all counts as academic reading that you can put into your personal statement. You don't have to sit down and force yourself to read reels and reels and reels and reels of something academic just to get by with it. Don't panic. Just read what you want when you want, because that's the point. You're meant to be interested in it, and if you're not interested in it, then you're not reading the right thing. And I didn't realise that at the start, because I just thought I just hate reading. I will never be able to read anything that I'm interested in, but that's not true. That is not true. And the final thing that I wish I had done way earlier in year 12 was making use of the people around you. The people in the year above you have literally just been through what you're going through. If you're feeling stressed out, if you're feeling worried about it, talk to them. They just did it. And most of them are probably feeling exactly the same as you are 6 months earlier. So don't hesitate, go and ask them, because they will know exactly how you're feeling. Me, talk to me about it. I just did it, and I'm more than happy to talk to you about it. So make use of the people around you, especially if you're struggling in a subject. Find somebody who did that subject and say to them, how did you do it? I had to do that a few times, which is kind of embarrassing, but at the same time it's not. It's really not. I wouldn't find it embarrassing if somebody came to me and asked me for help now. I'd be like, go. I know how you're feeling. And I wish I had me to talk to last year. That was a really weird thing to say. So yes, those are a few things that I wish I had known at the beginning of year 12. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next week with a new video. Bye! Have a nice evening!